Hey guys, so I want to give you a real life example of one of the clients that I got. So back in 2013, there was a company called Santos, and they wanted me to shoot their watches for them. This is a new watch brand that they started, and they had this rustic aviation, old world, World War One, World War Two, like army watch type things. So their catalog design had this very, old world feel. So I took their watches and did a bang up job of shooting them, I thought. They looked really good and made sure all the colors were right. And that led to me borrowing their watches. I said, hey, why don't you let me take your watches and do a real shoot with them? Because they didn't actually have a lot of money at the time. And they didn't want to take the risk. But I loved their watches and I loved their styling. And I thought I could do a good job. So I rented out an aviation museum and I borrowed their watches. And I had a stylist bring old world props. And a days of shooting, we came out with this. So this was the catalog the following year. And because I basically did the shoot on spec without them paying for it, when it did come time to them using the images, I was able to sell it to them. So they paid for these images for the use of them. Then a magazine picked up the story and wanted to pay me to publish it. So there's the story. And a many-page article about the company and how they started and what inspired them. So that was kind of fun. Next brand that approached me is a watch company started by Astro Design Studios. Astro Design Studios is a design studio in San Francisco, California and they do Xbox gaming consoles, and they design like the Nokia phones and the Soul headsets, that kind of thing, and Nike Fuel Band. But they had a beautiful line of watches, and they first offered me $500. They said, we have $500 in a basement. Can you come shoot these? And I said, I don't know about that. But they saw my portfolio for Santos, and they were really impressed. So I went in, met with them, and immediately me and Anthony, the art director, just hit it off. And I immediately saw the product and said, you know what, I can do something really amazing and beautiful with this. They trusted my vision. We went ahead with the shoot. What started out as a $500 project ended up making me several $100,000 over the years. The company was around for a couple years. They're not around anymore. So over the span of a couple of years, I've taken a few watch shots that I did, and I was able to kind of build out into quite a few watch shots done by me. So I wanted to kind of run through the numbers of that. So when I started with Santos, the first job was probably about like $1,500 or something like that. It's not very much. Basically, I did it as a favor. And then I took the watches and sort of did my own shoot with it. It probably cost me a couple $100 there. And then of assistance and paying for the museum and so on and so forth. But I value the shoe at something like, $7,000 or $8,000. So what I ended up getting from Santos was something like $3,500, I think. So I profited there. And then, so this is the ad shoot. And this is how much they paid for the ad photos. And this was for on the white background. Okay, and so from Santos, they did 2 years of licensing, a magazine published it. The magazine didn't pay me any money, but sometimes you do get paid money for magazines. And so I'm just going to write a quick little value here. So a cover of a magazine plus, I believe it was quite a large spread in the magazine. The large spread, so let's just call that something about $1,000, because a cover is $250, and a couple of pages ranging from 125 to 75 to $50 a picture, you get somewhere something about $1,000. So let's just factor that in there. Magazine. Then I had a YouTube channel, which probably cost me more time and money. So let's just put that down. So YouTube, we're just gonna ascribe a value of maybe $1,000 because it took me time to edit it, took me time to paste it, all that stuff. So let's just put down some time for myself. But it did lead to another client, which is Minus 8. Minus 8 I worked for many years. So Minus 8, the first job I got from Minus 8, they offered me $500, and I believe I talked them up to $12,500 because it was a lot more watches, and I even threw in something like 40 hours of free retouch time. So that took me, that cost me more than I made because I ended up having to spend so much time retouching afterwards. But from that one job, I think I probably made another $150,000 over the next 3 years with them. So you never know. And then the Minus 8 videos that went into the YouTube, and then after that I got the Van Brugge job, and they came from Hong Kong, and they did something like $35,000 right off the bat for the whole package. So I wasn't able to really make much more off of Van Brugge because unfortunately at the time, smartwatches are all the rage, and the watch market is really dying. So they never really recovered from that. But let's tally this up. Well, folks, so that's kind of how it breaks down. So my strategy is to specialize and maintain customer relationships. And over the years shooting watches, I've made something over $200,000. So I would say that was a pretty successful run. There it is. Hope you learned something.